What's going on, Buff Nation? Welcome back to another video. The boys have got back into the kitchen, started cooking up a little bit of juice. The recruits are on the way. The commits are on the way. This show is brought to you by BetUS, and the intro is on the way. Let's roll it and let's talk all about it, baby. It's going to be a good one, baby.
I flush my juice down in the club.
I told you the Buffs start winning, good things start happening with the recruiting cycle, and this is another big weekend here for the recruits. Obviously, just a few weekends ago, they had the big IMG guys there. It looked really promising. Here is another big opportunity. They seem to be very surgical in the recruitment. First order of business, Quinell Farkin, I believe is how it's pronounced, four-star wide receiver, announced today that he would be locking down his recruitment, that he is 100% with Colorado. Look, that's fantastic to hear. Is it guaranteed? Not always. But this far in the recruiting cycle, it's a fantastic news. One less thing you have to worry about. And again, with the production on the field, you got to see why that is. This also leads me to believe maybe there's some confidence in that quarterback room, what is to come in the future as well. But what we're talking about is the lineup they have this weekend, okay? The bat signal was sent out for a possible commit to happen, which we will be get into later on. I think this commit could happen within the next 24 to 48 hours. A couple crystal balls. The bat signal was flown out. Usually when that thing gets sent out within a day, it happens. So we'll keep our eyes and ears peeled for this, and we'll talk about who we think it's going to be. But let's talk about who is going to be there and the impact they're going to make. First order of business is going to be quarterback five-star Juju Lewis. Somebody that I think it's going to be his fourth visit now to Colorado. We've talked about him plenty, about how much of an impact he could have. You really got to think, look, USC is looking atrocious in the Big Ten. What are they, 3-4, 3-3 right now? Losing to Minnesota, getting skull dragged by Michigan, who can't beat a lick either. USC has fallen extremely far back in the Big Ten. They have not recruited well in regards to the competition that is in the Big Ten. And I think that USC and Lincoln Riley, that seat is much hotter than people are maybe speaking about, okay? Just hear me out. They paid this man a lot of money, and all he has done has gotten worse since he's been there, okay? Just think about it like that. Progressively worse with not much sign of showing to get better. And if you're Julian Lewis, you got to think, is this the place for me? Is this the place for me? So I don't want to put too much weight into that because we've talked so much about him. But another one I do want to put some weight back into is Carty Smith, the four-star offensive lineman. I've been talking about how great Jordan Seaton has been. 87.1, I believe, is PFF rating, the highest rated left tackle freshman in the country, according to PFF. I said it's going to speak volumes, and this is who I was referring to. It was not just Carty Smith, but other ones. But Carty Smith, importantly, because given the fact that he is one of those top O-linemen that they are targeting currently, also connected to Juju, right? Committed to USC. You see the blunder at USC. You see the lack of development at USC. Could this be a package deal? Did they go to USC together? No, but you follow the players. You follow the talent. So if the Juju falls, I think Carty Smith's a lock. Could we see Carty without Juju? That is a possible too. But I think that the odds of Carty Smith are going to grow increasingly, especially after this weekend, just seeing what they've been able to do. Once they curb stomp Cincinnati, I'm really excited to see how that's going to play out. Then five-star kicker Rhett Armstrong made a 62-yarder earlier this year already, is also visiting. Now, kickers usually aren't sexy, and their five-star isn't the same weight as like a Juju's five-star. It's in the punter and kicker category of five-star. Not to say he's not a five-star stud, but it's not going to affect the recruiting ranking like we typically look at in those things. So don't get too excited, but still something to look after. Again, kicking in college is huge. Having a good kicker, a solidified kicker, you don't think you need a kicker until you don't have a kicker. So this would be a big-time pickup for them. And then, of course, that one down there who we're going to keep a little hush-hush, which is a four-star wide receiver, looking pretty good. I'll hold his name until the end. But then alongside them is going to be Buffs commit Alex Graham. He will be there as well, four-star. And then three-star wide receiver Quentin Gibson will also be visiting this weekend. So big slate this weekend, given the fact last weekend was just 3 commits. You got to look at this, in my opinion, is the 2 that are commits. They're probably there to help recruit the other guys that are going to be there. You've got a couple wide receiver guys coming in. Hopefully maybe they'll talk to Juju a little bit. Maybe you kind of get a little, hey, let's all go do this thing together. This class could really shape up to be something interesting. But let's talk about who's favored to land for the Buffs. Before we do that, though, of course, the show is brought to you by BetUS. Talked about it in today's earlier show. Loving the -4 here. Some people already commented the money line all day long. And when you go to betus.com and use the code YouTube150, you get back 150% on your first deposit, then 125 on your second 2, up to $2,000 on that deposit. So be sure to check out betus.com. Hammer this line or the money line. I like Colorado. Somebody even commented 39-16. That's a perfect number, which also covers the 57. Oh, that's right at 57. So that's a close one. The total's tough because I think Colorado puts up 40, but I think the Cold Cincinnati did 10-17. So that's where the tough one comes into play. You make your call on that. I love the -4 all day long. Be sure to check that out. And then, of course, the crystal ball. The bat signal was called for Adrian Wilson. Now, we've seen a couple crystal balls come out earlier this week. The Indiana decommit, the safety. We didn't see the bat signal, I don't believe, for that young man. So although there was a crystal ball, there wasn't a bat signal. This got a bat signal plus the crystal ball from Chad Simmons and Steve Wilfong. Obviously, the Fong bomb is always huge. chad Simmons, the director of recruiting on 3, always a big-time thing. Well connected with recruiting. Love to see this. Another big-time wide receiver commit, looking like he's going to be headed to the Buffs as well. Look, as excited as this is for the Buffs, I've said this and I'll continue to say this. I don't think they're going to have any issues or ever will have any issues recruiting that wide receiver room. Not that I mean you can't have a plethora of talent. You want about 8 or 10 guys in there ready to rock and roll. Obviously, you're lining up 3. But again, the trench work is what I'm focused on to see how these Buffs can continue to grow. Again, not to overlook this, still a big time pickup, but that's where I'm ready to see some bat signals come in is for this Cardi Smith. So after this weekend, again, got Friday, then we got the game. That's when we got to keep our eyes and ears peeled for those big time commits. I think Juju probably drags this thing out, but we'll like to see if Cardi Smith will flip sooner rather than later. And then we saw, obviously, that he's committed. I think the IMG commits, they said they were waiting until later on in December, which is National Signing Day. And with the changes in National Signing Day, going from that national letter of intent to basically an actual physical contract now with money negotiations, I think a lot more players are going to wait until National Signing Day to make that final call, just given the circumstances that are what it is. So just keep that in mind. Again, a great place where the Buffs are currently in recruiting, especially given where they were last year. And I think we've talked about this a handful of times. The approach that the Buffs are taking is much different than year prior, and I like the approach. A little more aggressive, a little more tactic. And again, we'll continue to monitor it. But it's, look, where a lot of schools aren't hosting visits right now. I mean, they are. I think they're hosting a lot of big time guys. And again, they being very particular on who they want on their campus. So let me know your thoughts on this, on course, in the comment section below. Who do you like? Who do you think the Buffs get out of this class or out of this group of visits? Is it everybody? Is it these 3? Give me your thoughts. Be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and of course, this show is brought to you by BetUS. I'll see you boys in the next one. Peace and love, baby.